Yes, sir.
So, ma'am, this is posted on the internet. You will be allowed to use the telephone when you go back down after this proceeding. So you will be able to call your husband.
He's here with me. He's in the courtroom with you on the other side.
The courtroom is closed, ma'am. I know this looks fancy, but I am not in the courthouse. We're doing everything by Zoom.
He's coming to first appearance just like me. You're gonna see him. He's on your list. His name is Jamel Franklin Jackson. Can you just tell my bond when you give him his?
Okay. I will convey that information to him, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Thank you.
Can we bring Miss Ortiz up? I'm sorry, are you Miss Weidman?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Miss Weidman, we're gonna bring up Miss Ortiz because we need the services of an interpreter, and she has other places to be. So we're gonna have to deal with her. Good morning, Miss Vasquez Ortiz. Can you hear and understand the interpreter?
Buenos días, señorita Vázquez Ortiz. ¿Puede usted escuchar y entender al intérprete?
Sí.
Yes.
I apologize, ma'am, that we were not able to reach you yesterday.
Siento mucho, señorita, que no pudimos llegar hasta usted en el día de ayer.
Okay.
You're charged with 1 count of family violence battery and 1 count of criminal trespass, damage to property.
A usted se le acusa de un cargo de agresión corporal, violencia doméstica y un cargo de invasión o daños a la propiedad.
I've set the bond at $4,000 apiece for each charge for a total bond of $8,000.
Yo le he fijado su fianza a $4,000 por cada cargo con un total de $8,000.
Okay.
There's going to be a stay away provision on this bond to stay away from a Wellington Corto Viriel.
Wellington Corto.
VRREAL.
I'm sorry, Judge. VRR.
V as in Victor.
Ajá.
2 R's, RREAL.
Ok. Y va a haber una orden en su orden de fianza que dice que usted no se le puede acercar a Wellington Corto Virel.
Do you understand that, ma'am?
¿Entiende usted eso, señorita?
Sí.
Yes.
You're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for June 1st at 8:30 in the morning.
Usted va a tener una audiencia preliminar, la cual va a estar fija para el 1 de junio a las 8:30 de la mañana.
Okay.
That date will get waived upon your bonding out and you'll get a new court date in the mail.
Y esa fecha de corte se cancela tan pronto usted pague su fianza y usted recibiría un nuevo citatorio por correo.
Okay.
Okay.
Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
¿Le gustaría ver le gustaría que yo vea si usted califica para nombrarle un abogado de oficio?
Sí.
Yes.
You do qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you.
Usted califica, señorita, y le voy a nombrar un abogado para que la represente.
Okay.
So during this proceeding and all other proceeding, ma'am, you're going to have the following rights.
Durante este proceso y todos los siguientes procesos, señorita, usted va a tener los siguientes derechos.
The right to the presumption of innocence.
El derecho a la presunción de inocencia.
The right to indictment by grand jury for most felonies or by accusation for misdemeanors.
El derecho de que se le formule una acusación mediante el jurado indicatorio para la mayoría de los delitos graves, que se le formule una acusación para los delitos de menores.
The right to a speedy and public trial by jury.
El derecho de tener un juicio público rápido y por jurado.
The right to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you.
El derecho de ver, escuchar y contrainterrogar a los testigos que sean citados a testificar en su contra.
The right to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify on your own behalf.
El derecho de obligar a los testigos que vengan a testificar a su favor.
The right to testify on your own behalf or offer evidence in your own defense.
El derecho de testificar a su favor o presentar pruebas para ser usadas en su defensa.
The right to have an attorney represent you.
El derecho de tener un abogado para que la represente.
If you cannot afford an attorney, one can be appointed to represent you if you qualify.
Y si usted no puede contratarse un abogado, le podría nombrar uno para que la represente si usted califica.
You can post a bond that I have set for you in 3 ways.
La fianza que yo le he fijado, usted la puede pagar en una de 3 formas.
By cash, commercial, or property.
En efectivo, usando una compañía fiancista o usando una propiedad.
I saw your message, Sergeant Riley. If you post a bond in cash, you will have to deliver the full amount of the bond and fees to the Sheriff's Department.
Si usted paga su fianza en efectivo, usted tendría que llevar la cantidad total de su fianza más las tarifas adicionales a la comisaría.
The Sheriff's Department will hold that money and return it to you at the end of your case.
La comisaría se quedaría con ese dinero y se lo reembolsaría al final de su caso.
If you use a commercial bonding company, someone will have to pay a fee to the company for their service.
Si usted usa una compañía fiancista, alguien le tendría que pagar las tarifas a esta compañía por sus servicios.
The fee will not be returned.
Pero esta tarifa no le sería reembolsada.
I don't know what fee will be charged, but it's usually based upon a percentage of the bond amount.
Yo no sé cuál sería la tarifa que le cobrarían, pero generalmente está basado en un porcentaje de la cantidad de su fianza.
If you use property to post the bond, the property would need to have a net equity at least 3 times the total bond amount.
Si usted usa una propiedad para pagar su fianza, la propiedad tendría que tener un capital neto que sea por lo menos 3 veces la cantidad total de su fianza.
You have a special condition in your case to stay away from Wellington, Corto, Viriel.
Usted tiene una condición especial en su fianza que dice que tiene que mantenerse alejada de Wellington, Corto, Viriel.
You will be prohibited from contacting this person while you are in jail.
A usted se le prohíbe ponerse en contacto con esta persona mientras usted esté encarcelada.
If you violate the court's order, your bond will be revoked and you could remain in jail until your trial.
Si usted viola la orden del juez, su fianza sería revocada y usted podría permanecer encarcelada hasta que su caso vaya a juicio.
You could also receive additional felony charges.
Y también le podrían imputar cargos adicionales por delitos graves.
It is important to note that this person cannot post your bond.
Es importante saber que a esta persona no se le va a permitir pagar la fianza por usted.
Do you have any questions of me, ma'am?
Señorita, ¿tiene usted alguna pregunta para mí?
No.
No.
Okay, ma'am, you're free to go back.
Ok, señorita, puede retirarse.
So, Ms. Bermudez, it appears that we have 2 more people that we're going to need your services for, Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Mora Ramirez.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I believe they heard bits and pieces of what was just being interpreted. So I'm not sure if you want to read the whole thing over to them.
Okay. I will inquire of them. Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Mora Ramirez, did you hear and understand what I just said to Ms. Ortiz?
Señor González y señor Mora Ramírez, ¿escucharon ustedes y entendieron lo que yo le acabo de decir a la señorita Ortiz?
Escuché algunas cosas, otras no.
I heard some things.
Okay. I'm grabbing your paperwork. So give me a second.
Dame un momentito, estoy buscando su documentación.
Okay, so Mr. Gonzalez and Mr. Moore Ramirez, this is your first appearance here before the Magistrate Court of Clayton County.
Señor González y señor Mora Ramírez, esta es su comparecencia inicial ante el Tribunal de Primera Instancia del Condado de Clayton.
I am not here to try your case or to take a plea in your case.
Yo no estoy acá para juzgar su caso o para aceptar una declaración a cargos en su caso.
You both have a trafficking and cocaine charge where bond is going to be denied.
Ustedes los dos tienen un cargo por narcotráfico de cocaína y en esos cargos su fianza va a ser negada.
So you would not be able to set bond in your cases without a bond hearing.
O sea que ustedes no van a poder conseguir fianza en sus casos sin tener una audiencia para pedir fianza.
I am going to inform both of you of the charges that have been filed against you.
Yo le voy a notificar cuáles son los cargos que les han sido imputados.
I'm going to explain certain rights to you.
Les voy a explicar ciertos derechos a ustedes.
And I'm going to see if you require the assistance of an attorney.
Y yo voy a ver si ustedes requieren la asistencia de un abogado.
Did you hear the rights that I read or explained to Ms. Ortiz?
¿Ustedes escucharon los derechos, los cuales yo les expliqué a la señorita Ortiz?
No escuché muy bien.
Not very well.
Okay, so during this proceeding and all other proceedings, you're going to have the following rights.
Durante este y todos los otros procesos, ustedes van a tener los siguientes derechos.
The right to the presumption of innocence.
El derecho a la presunción de inocencia.
The right to indictment by a grand jury for most felonies or by accusation for misdemeanors.
El derecho a que se le formule una acusación mediante el jurado indagatorio para la mayoría de los delitos graves y que se le formule una acusación para los delitos menores.
The right to a speedy and public trial by jury.
El derecho de tener un juicio público rápido y por jurado.
The right to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you.
El derecho de ver, escuchar y contrainterrogar a los testigos que sean citados a testificar en su contra.
The right to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify on your behalf.
El derecho de obligar a testigos a que vengan a testificar a su favor.
The right to testify on your own behalf or offer evidence in your own defense.
El derecho de testificar a su favor o de presentar pruebas para ser usados en su defensa.
The right to have an attorney represent you.
El derecho de tener un abogado para que los represente.
If you cannot afford an attorney, one can be appointed to represent you if you qualify.
Si usted no puede contratarse un abogado, les podrían nombrar uno si usted califica.
You're not going to be granted bond at this hearing, but in the future, if you're granted bond, you may post bond by cash, commercial, or property.
A usted no se le va a conceder fianza en esta audiencia, pero si a usted le conceden una fianza en el futuro, usted podría pagar su fianza en efectivo, usando una compañía fiancista o usando una propiedad.
If you're given a bond, you can post that. If you're given a bond and you choose the cash option, you will have to give the full amount of the bond in cash to the Sheriff's Department.
Si a usted se le concede una fianza y usted decide usar la opción de pagar en efectivo, usted tendría que llevar la cantidad total de su fianza en efectivo a la comisaría.
The Sheriff's Department will return the cash to you when your case is resolved.
Y la comisaría le reembolsaría el dinero de la fianza tan pronto su caso sea solucionado.
If you use a bonding company, you will have to pay a fee to the bonding company for their service.
Si usted usa una compañía fiancista, usted tendría que pagarle una tarifa a esta compañía fiancista por sus servicios.
I don't know what the fee is, but it's normally a percentage of the bond.
Yo no sé qué cantidad sería la tarifa, pero generalmente es un porcentaje de la fianza.
Whatever fee you pay to the bonding company will not be returned to you.
Pero cualquiera que sea la cantidad que ustedes les paguen a ellos en tarifa, esa cantidad no les sería reembolsada.
If you use property, the property will need to have at least 3 times the total amount of the bond.
Si usted usa una propiedad, la propiedad tendría que tener por lo menos 3 veces la cantidad total de su fianza.
The purpose of a preliminary hearing is to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to support the allegations against you.
El propósito de tener una audiencia preliminar es determinar si hay suficientes pruebas para sustentar las alegaciones en su contra.
The standard at this stage is very low.
Y los estándares en esta etapa son muy bajos.
A judge determining whether a charge goes forward at this stage only has to determine that it is possible that the crime occurred.
Para que un juez determine si un cargo va a proceder en esta etapa, solamente tiene que determinar que existe la posibilidad de que el delito fue cometido.
Everyone has the ability to waive their right to a preliminary hearing.
Todos tienen la habilidad o el derecho de renunciar a tener su audiencia preliminar.
However, you should speak to a lawyer first if you are unsure about whether it is appropriate to waive your preliminary hearing.
Sin embargo, usted debe de hablar con un abogado primero si usted no está seguro si es apropiado renunciar a tener su audiencia preliminar.
If you post bond, your preliminary hearing is automatically waived.
Y si usted paga su fianza, la audiencia preliminar se cancela automáticamente.
You will receive notice at the address you give of your next court date.
Y usted recibiría una notificación en la dirección que usted dé de cuándo sería su próxima corte.
So I'll start with Mr. Ricardo Mora Ramirez.
Voy a comenzar con José Ricardo Mora Ramírez.
Raise your hand, please, sir.
Levante su mano derecha, por favor, señor.
Sir, you're charged with 1 count of trafficking in cocaine.
Señora, ¿usted se le acusa de un cargo de narcotráfico de cocaína?
The bond at this stage is going to be denied.
Y su fianza en esta etapa va a ser denegada.
You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for June 2nd at 8:30 in the morning.
Usted va a tener una audiencia preliminar, la cual está fija para el 2 de junio a las 8:30 de la mañana.
You're going to have a bond hearing date set for June 4th at 8:30 in the morning.
Usted va a tener una audiencia para pedir fianza el día 4 de junio a las 8:30 de la mañana.
Currently, both of these hearings are being held by Zoom.
Estas 2 audiencias la vamos a tener vía Zoom.
However, conditions may change and they could be held within a courtroom.
Pero puede ser que las condiciones cambien y las podrían tener en la sala del tribunal.
Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
¿Quiere usted que yo vea si usted califica para nombrarle un abogado? Yes.
Okay, you do qualify, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you.
Ok, señor, usted sí califica y yo le voy a nombrar un abogado para que lo represente.
Do you have any questions for me?
¿Tiene usted alguna pregunta para mí?
No.
No.
Okay, sir, you're free to go back.
Ok, señor, puede retirarse.
Mr. Gonzalez,
Señor González,
you have been charged with more offenses.
a usted se le acusa de tener más cargos.
You're charged with driving a vehicle without a license,
A usted se le acusa de manejar un vehículo sin licencia de conducir,
fleeing from a police officer,
de correr de la policía,
driving on the wrong side of the road,
de manejar en vía contraria,
failure to exercise due care,
de no tener la debida precaución,
driving above the speed limit,
de manejar por encima de los límites de velocidad,
improper lane change,
cambio inapropiado de carril,
reckless driving,
manejo peligroso
and trafficking in cocaine.
y de narcotráfico de cocaína.
I've set bond on all of the offenses except for the trafficking of cocaine.
Yo le fijé fianza en todos los otros delitos, excepto en el cargo de narcotráfico de cocaína.
Do you want to know the total amount of the bond on the other offenses?
¿Usted quiere saber cuál es la cantidad total de su fianza por los otros delitos?
Sí.
Yes.
The bond amount for the other offenses comes to $9,000.
Y la cantidad total de la fianza por los otros delitos es de $9,000.
I'm setting a preliminary hearing date for June 2nd at 8:30 in the morning.
Le voy a fijar una audiencia preliminar para el 2 de junio a las 8:30 de la mañana.
I'm setting a bond hearing date for June 4th at 8:30 in the morning.
Y le voy a fijar su audiencia para pedir fianza para el día 4 de junio a las 8:30 de la mañana.
Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of lawyer?
¿Le gustaría que yo vea si usted califica para nombrarle un abogado?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay, sir, you do qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
Ok, señor, usted sí califica y yo le voy a nombrar un abogado para que lo represente. ¿Tiene usted alguna pregunta para mí?
No, todo bien.
No. ¿Dijo que no, señor?
No.
No.
Okay, sir, you're free to go back.
Ok, señor, puede retirarse.
Okay, do we need Ms. Bermudez's services on either side?
No, Your Honor.
Okay,
I got one more on the mail, Your Honor.
okay.
Tell me your name. Buenos, mi nombre es Jonathan Pacheco López.
Did he say Lopez?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Lopez, can you hear and understand the interpreter?
¿Puede usted escuchar y entender al intérprete?
Sí.
Yes.
Looks like I've disappeared in the picture. Oh, there we go. Okay, Mr. Lopez, you have been charged with one count of failure to yield at a stop sign.
Señor López, a usted se le acusa de un cargo de no ceder el paso en un pare,
Failure to report an accident,
de no haber reportado un accidente
and hit and run from an accident.
y de chocar y darse a la fuga.
Total bond is going to be set at $3,000. Can you pay that bond, sir?
Y su fianza va a ser de $3,000. ¿Va usted a poder pagar su fianza, señor? Yes.
You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for June 1st at 8:30 in the morning.
Usted va a tener una audiencia preliminar programada para el día 1 de junio a las 8:30 de la mañana.
That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail.
Esta audiencia preliminar se cancela tan pronto usted pague su fianza y usted recibiría un nuevo citatorio para venir a corte por correo.
Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of lawyer?
¿Le gustaría que yo vea si usted califica para nombrarle un abogado? No, thank you.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me, sir?
¿Tiene usted alguna pregunta para mí, señor? ¿Perdón?
No, todo bien.
No. All is well.
Okay, sir, you're free to go back.
Ok, señor, puede retirarse.
Thank you, Miss Bermudez. You have a great weekend.
Thank you, Judge. You do as well.
Okay, let's switch back over to the lady side. We have two people there, and then we'll switch back to the men's side, and we'll deal with Mr. Jackson's client. Miss Weidman,
Yes,
is
sir.
that your name, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
All right, ma'am, you've been charged with 1 count of possession of marijuana less than an ounce and 1 count of use or possession of drug-related objects. You're going to have a total bond set at $3,000. Can you post that bond, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for June 1st at 8:30 in the morning. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you will get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
How much do you make per hour or per month?
I don't know how much it is per hour because we just got a raise yesterday, so I don't really know.
What were you making before?
$9.50.
Okay, you do qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir.
Okay, ma'am, you're free to go back.
Thank you.
Are you Miss Wright?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, Miss Wright, you've been charged with 1 count of improper lane change, 1 count of distracted driving, 2 drug-related offenses, 1 count of use of possession of drug-related objects, and 1 count of driving on a suspended license. You're going to have a total bond set at, looks like $9,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am?
I can do a property bond?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, you're going to have a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for June 2nd at 8:30 in the morning. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, please. Can you tell me the amount of my bond again? I'm sorry.
No problem, ma'am. By my lawyer math, is $9,500.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And you did say you want me to see if you qualify for the
Yes,
appointment
sir.
of a lawyer?
Yes, sir. Please.
Okay, you do qualify, ma'am. I'm appointing a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir. That'll be all.
Okay, ma'am, you're free to go back. Okay, Mr. Jackson, is that all for the ladies?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. You have a good weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Mr. Jackson, tell me your client's name again.
Michael Cooper.
Cooper. Are you Mr. Cooper? We need Michael Cooper.
Your Honor, I would like to say, as a fellow Emory alum, we lawyers can do math.
Well, I can put some things together, but it becomes difficult at times. All right, Michael Cooper.
Case number, if that'll help you, Your Honor.
What year did you graduate?
16.
Oh, I'm old in comparison to you.
Still young at heart.
I'm sorry. I have a bunch of paperwork over here. I'm trying to make sure I get Mr. Cooper.
Okay. I got a D&B if that'll help, a case number if that'll help, charges if that'll help.
No. It's I get all of this stuff at like 7 o'clock in the morning, so I go through it and just trying to put it into context. Mr. Cooper, I would normally address you directly during this proceeding, but you have hired your lawyer, Mr. Jackson. So I am going to address Mr. Jackson during this proceeding. I need you to understand that this is not a private setting. So anything that you say during this proceeding, the whole world would know. So please don't say anything that you don't want everybody to know. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Jackson, Mr. Cooper is charged with 1 count of terroristic threats or acts. I have preliminarily set a bond at $2,000 with a stay away provision is to stay away from Justin Hill. But I will hear from you as to anything you have to say to me as it relates to your client and the bond.
Yes, Your Honor. My client does have a clean criminal history. I believe there was a charge about 5 years ago for possession of a firearm unlicensed. I think he was holding without having his carry permit with him. Other than that, he has been a model citizen, Your Honor. He is born and raised in Georgia. I don't see him as a flight risk at all. Considering he's violent, I would have suggested the same stay away provision as well. My client does live with the alleged victim in this case. So I would just ask that be maybe amended to no harmful or violent contact with the victim in this one. I would ask for.
Can I stop you for a second, Mr. Jackson? In the warrant, it says that the alleged victim was his neighbor.
Yes. So they live. So in terms of no contact, I just ask for that to be no harmful or violent contact, just because of the proximity that they have to each other.
So the no violent contact thing is kind of disfavored at this point because your definition of violence may differ from my definition of violence. And so when we place that no violent contact, it becomes, well, I didn't shoot him, I just slapped him. Or, so the stay away becomes a little bit more easier for people to understand that I'm not going over to his yard. He's not coming over to my yard. If he comes over to my yard, that's a whole different thing. But it's just easier for people to understand to say, stay away from that person.
Understood, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead. I interrupted you, sir.
It is okay. Client again is a Georgia born and raised man. He went to Pitt Elementary in Atlanta. Went to Archer High School in Atlanta. I think he only left Georgia for getting his undergrad. I think he was in Jersey, but he came back. He's been working in banking right now. He's a risk manager at a global financial institution. Considering his lack of a criminal history, or significant criminal history, and his model citizenry, he worked with Feed America at least 4 times a year every year for the past 5 to 10 years. We would ask that he be given an OR bond. Otherwise, I believe we'd be able to postpone today.
So we dealt, and I don't think you were on when we started that. There are a lot of people yesterday that are asking for OR bond. So the process for the OR bond is I would have to continue his case so that I could meet with my chief to discuss his case. And that's something generally it's easier for people just to pay the bond and get out than to deal with this whole OR bond thing, because the people yesterday that they rolled the dice, everybody, she said no. So they spent the night in jail when they could have bonded out and been done. So if your client is asking for an OR bond, the process is for me to continue the case to get approval for the OR bond.
Yes, Your Honor. At this point, then, I believe we'll just go ahead and post bond. I'll talk to the client about how we'd like that to be done via either paying out the $2,000 or going through a bonding company. But we'll get that taken care of today.
Okay. His preliminary hearing date currently is going to be set for June 2nd at 8:30 in the morning. But when he bonds out, his charges are going to be sent to the Superior Court of Clayton County. So that date will change. So you should just be aware that it's not going to be June 2nd. It'll be another date sometime set out in the future. Do you have any other questions for me, Mr. Jackson?
About how far out are we have arrangements? Do you know?
It is, I don't know, with everything starting to open up and plans to open up, things, of course, will move a lot faster. In the past, these dates would be 7 to 14 days out. Because of the COVID stuff, it's been set out a lot farther. Everybody's dealing with backlogs and trying to fill those backlogs. So I can't give you a date that you can believe to be reasonably certain.
Wake up, gentlemen. We ain't
I'm
got-
sorry?
I'm talking to my people. They going to sleep, so I'm trying to wake them up.
Okay. I'm sorry. So, Mr. Jackson, is there anything else?
Not at this time, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Okay, sir, you have a good day. Mr. Cooper, you're free to go back.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Oh, Mr. Jackson,
Yes, Your Honor.
in the future, just let me know that you're there. So I see, and I don't know if you see, but I see a bunch of different names. So I don't know if anybody is a lawyer, they're with the clerk's office or they're wherever until they identify themselves. So had you identified yourself, I would have been able to deal with you a lot sooner.
Oh, you identify. You caught me almost as soon as I got on the call.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was very little time lost between me actually joining the Zoom and you reaching out to me.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. You have a good weekend.
Thank you, Your Honor. You as well.
Okay. We're ready on the men's side with Mr. Alford. Mr. Alford, you're charged with 1 count of driving on a suspended license. The bond is automatically set at $1,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir, but I have an issue also. Judge. They came to me with a warrant from Arizona, and it's a warrant with no hold. It's 10 years old, a warrant with no hold. But the lady tell me last night that they claim they gonna expedite me and this and that. But I can post the bond. I can post that bond.
Okay, so the answer to my question is yes, and then your retort is that you've been told by the sheriff's department that you have a hold on you from Arizona.
Yes, sir. But see, I had the warrant in my own possession, stating that it was warrant with no hold.
So, Mr. Alford,
Yes, sir.
just so you understand, whomever that you were communicating with at the sheriff's department, that person doesn't know you, I presume, correct?
Evidently no, sir.
Well, did you know that person? Let me ask that question. Did you know the person that was giving you this information from the sheriff's department?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any reason to believe that that person would be dishonest with you with the information that they were giving you?
Yeah, it's because Clark County said the same thing, sir. I ain't trying to dispute nothing, but Clark County.
Wait. My question was, do you believe the person that reported to you that they received word that Arizona wanted you, that person has a reason to be dishonest with you?
Yes, sir.
So, is it possible that the person that communicated that information to you was given that information from someone from Arizona? Is that possible?
It's possible.
Okay, so the best way for you to close this loop is to hire a lawyer in Arizona to deal with whatever is going on in Arizona, so that you understand as it relates to the interstate compact that all of these states agree with, we don't care about whether Arizona wants you or don't want you. If they say they want you, it is the obligation of the sheriff's department in Clayton County to hold you. So you can argue with the people there in the sheriff's department all day about what they were told, but it's their obligation to hold you if they received word from Arizona. So your beef, if at all, with anybody is with Arizona.
I don't have any beef, sir. It's just the situation is, I'm trying to figure out how many days I got to be held here. If they don't come and get me.
So I don't have a fugitive from justice warrant before me. So the issue that you have introduced is not before me right now. Right now, you are being held by the Clayton County Sheriff for driving on a suspended license. And if you post that bond and what you're telling me is true, is that Arizona doesn't want you, you get to walk out the door. If you post that bond and what you're telling me is untrue, that Arizona wants you, you don't get to walk out the door. Is that simple enough?
I understand that, sir, but I'm trying to figure out how many days I should got to be held. I can post my bond.
That's not for him.
I know, sir.
Okay.
So right now, what I have before me, Mr. Alford, you post your bond, you walk out the door.
Okay, sir.
You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for June 1st at 8:30 in the morning. That date will get waived upon your bonding out. You'll get a new court date in the mail. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
You do qualify, Mr. Alford. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any other questions for me, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, you're free to go back.
Thank you. Great.
Are you Mr. Barnwell? Okay, Mr. Barnwell, you're charged with 1 window tint violation, 2 violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act, and 1 possession of a weapon during the commission of a crime. You're going to have a total bond that's going to be set at $8,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir? You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for June 2nd at 8:30 in the morning. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? I'm sorry, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, you do qualify, Mr. Barnwell. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me, sir?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're free to go back. Are you Mr. Bird?
Sir.
Okay, Mr. Bird, you've been charged with one, well,
Charges, Your Honor, I do not need to keep up in the house.
I'm sorry?
I understand my charges, Your Honor, I do not need to keep up.
Okay, so I cannot set bond for these offenses at this time. But I have set a preliminary hearing date for June 2nd at 8:30 in the morning. I've also set a bond hearing date for June 4th at 8:30 in the morning. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? Okay, you do qualify, Mr. Bird. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Bird, you're free to go back.
Hey, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. Are you Mr. Collins? Mr. Collins, you've been charged with 1 count of criminal trespass. Bond is going to be set at $3,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir.
You say yes?
Yeah.
Okay, there's going to be a stay away provision on this bond to stay away from Takesha Brunson. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for June 1st at 8:30 in the morning. That date to get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yeah.
Okay, you do qualify, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me?
No, sir.
All right, you're free to go back. Are you Mr. Eppinger? I'm sorry, sir, for myrtleizing your name. Okay. Sir, you've been charged with 1 count of speeding, 1 count of improper lane change, and 1 count of VGCSA, which is violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act. I'm going to set your bond, total bond at $4,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Sure.
You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for June 2nd at 8:30 in the morning. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? All right. You're on the edge, sir, but I'm going to find that you qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me? All right, you're free to go back. Are you Mr. Flowers?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Flowers, you've been charged with 1 count of family violence battery. The bond is going to be set at $5,000. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes, sir.
You're going to have a stay away provision on this bond to stay away from an Andrea Camplin. Do you understand that? Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for June 1st at 8:30 in the morning, but that date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? Okay, sir, you do qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me? All right, you're free to go back. All right, you Mr. French? Mr. French, you've been charged with 1 count of possession of marijuana less than an ounce. The bond for this offense is set by schedule, which means it's automatically set at $1,500. It's a little bit higher because sheriff's office has to add fees to it. Do you believe you can post your bond? I'm sorry, sir. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for June 1st at 8:30 in the morning. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? I'm sorry, sir. Yeah, okay. You do qualify, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me? All right, you're free to go back, sir.
Aaron Hamilton.
Okay, Mr. Hamilton, you've been charged with several driving-related offenses, improper lane change, fleeing from the police, reckless driving, use or possession of drug-related objects, and possession of marijuana. You're going to have a total bond that's going to be set at $7,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for June 1st at 8:30 in the morning. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? Did you say yes? All right. You do qualify. Mr. Hamilton, I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
Can I get the bond amount one more time, please?
Okay. Yes, sir. $7,000.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're free to go back. Are you Mr. Hemingway?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir, you've been charged with possession of marijuana less than an ounce. This bond for this offense is set by schedule. which means it's automatically set at $1,500. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes, I've already posted my bonds, but the set amount was $1,850 and not $1,500.
Yes, the sheriff's department is required by law to add fees to bonds, and I'm not I don't have that schedule before me. So whatever bond I set or is automatically set, they add fees to that. So go upon the amount that you're being told by the sheriff's department. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? Okay, you do qualify, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me? Okay, you're free to go back. Are you Mr. Jackson? Did you say yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, you're charged with several drug-related offenses. Is it okay for me to tell you the total bond, or you want me to tell you each charge?
Tell me each charge.
Okay, you're charged with possession of marijuana less than an ounce. That's a misdemeanor. You're charged with violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act. That's a felony. You're charged with use or possession of drug-related objects. You're charged with loitering or prowling, and you're charged with obstructing an officer. And just so you know, sir, I've had probably 20 people over the past 2 days that have been arrested at this location. So I don't know what's going on over there, but apparently that's like a honeypot for the police. So you may want to stay away from that location.
It was because of the ones who had got locked up there early that they locked us up.
Oh, okay. So your total bond is going to be, it looks like it's going to be 10,000. Hold on, let me add it up. It's going to be $10,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
How much do you make per month or per hour?
Like, I work at a club, so I'm like I made like 300 a week.
Okay, so you do qualify, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for June 2nd at 8:30 in the morning. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and I would encourage you to contact the bonding companies here because their business model is to help people get out of jail. So they'll put you on payment plans and that kind of stuff. Do you have any questions for me?
How much is my wife bond?
By using a bonding company or total bond?
How much is her bond? My wife?
So the total bond is going to be $10,000, and it's going to be a little bit higher because Sheriff's Department is required to add fees to this. So I can give you my best estimate or guesstimate. Okay. Do you understand that, sir? You have any other questions? Okay, you're free to go back. All right, you Mr. Is it Javers? Javers? Okay, so you've been charged with possession of marijuana less than an ounce, possession of a weapon during the commission of a crime, and driving a vehicle on a suspended license. You're going to have a total bond that's going to be set at $6,000. Do you believe you can post that bond? Your preliminary hearing date is going to be set for June 2nd at 8:30 in the morning. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? Okay, you do qualify, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me?
Much will my bond be? I go through a bond company.
Did you ask how much will your total bond amount be? Okay, so I can only give you an estimate. The sheriff's department is required to add fees to the bond amount that I've set at $6,000. So it's going to be a little bit higher than $6,000. The bonding company, they will charge you a fee that is generally based upon the bond amount that is ultimately set. So you're going to have to call the bonding companies, tell them your name, your charges, and your total bond amount, and they will give you the fee that they will charge you. Okay? But generally, it's probably going to be between $600 to $800. And then that's just a wide range. I don't know. Okay? Any other questions, sir? Okay, you're free to go back. Are you Mr. Johnson? Okay, Mr. Johnson, you've been charged with one count of violation Georgia Controlled Substance Act, which is a felony, and 2 misdemeanor charges of obstructing an officer. You're going to have a total bond set at $7,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir? Okay, you're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for June 2nd at 8:30 in the morning because the violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act is a felony. That date will get waived upon your bonding out and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
All right, you do qualify, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me? No. Okay, you're free to go back. Are you Mr. McLeod? Okay, Mr. McLeod, you charge one count of driving on a suspended license. The bond for that charge is automatically set at $1,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir? You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for June 1st at 8:30 in the morning. That date will get waived upon your bonding out and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? Okay, you're on the edge, sir, but I'm going to find that you do qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me? Okay, sir, you're free to go back. Are you Mr. Powell?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Powell, you're charged with one count of battery. The bond is going to be set at $5,000. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes, sir.
You're going to have a stay away provision on this bond to stay away from a Brittany Stansberry. Do you understand that?
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
What is the percentage of 5,000, the 10% of the 5,000?
10% of 5,000 is 500. There's going to be fees added to this, so it's going to be more than 5,000. You're going to need to contact the bonding companies, tell them your total bond amount, and tell them your charges, and they'll tell you the fee that they will charge you. Okay? You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for June 1st at 8:30 in the morning. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes.
How much do you make per hour, Mr. Powell?
Every week, so that's $500 a day. $100 a day. So every Friday I make $500.
Okay. You do qualify, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back. Are you Mr. Is it Saludin?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir, you've been charged with driving under the influence of alcohol, knowingly driving a motor vehicle with a suspended or canceled registration, driving a vehicle with no insurance, open container, and possession of marijuana less than an ounce. You're going to have a total bond set at $8,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Hope so, sir.
Okay. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for June 1st at 8:30 in the morning. That date will get waived upon your bonding out and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? Did you say no?
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, I do.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. So do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Sir.
Okay. You do, well, you're on the edge, sir, but I'm going to find that you qualify. Do you have any questions of me?
Can you give me that total again? Total bond, sir?
Yes, sir. You're going to make me do math again. $8,500. Any other questions?
No.
Okay, sir, you're free to go back.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. You're Mr. Smith?
Mr. Smith refused, Your Honor.
I'm sorry?
You talking about John Smith?
Yes.
He refused to come.
He refused to come?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I did. So.
In order for me to fulfill my duty, I gotta at least talk at him. If he doesn't want to hear it, he doesn't need to hear it.
Okay, I go have him be retooled and so I can get him for last, I guess.
Yeah, just have him brought because he's supposed to appear before a judge and he can stand mute. He can say nothing.
Okay.
And I can talk at him and that fulfills our obligation to him.
Okay, I go get him.
Okay. You're Mr. Is it Sowell? Sowell? I'm sorry, sir. Tell me your name again.
John Sowell, sir.
Okay. Sir, you've been charged with several driving-related offenses and one drug-related offense. Reckless driving, too fast for conditions, failing to obey an officer, open container, violation of seatbelt law, defective equipment, and violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act. And that last charge is a felony charge. And they've charged you with possession of a little bit more than an ounce of marijuana. So, your total bond is going to be $9,000 for these 7 offenses. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir.
Did you say no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for June 2nd at 8:30 in the morning. That date will get waived upon your bonding out and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? Okay, you do qualify, sir. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions for me?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back. Are you Mr. Terry? I'm sorry, sir.
Mr. Aaron Wall.
Mr. Terry, OTB, Your Honor.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Mr. Wall, you're charged with 1 count of window tint violation, 1 count of possession of marijuana less than an ounce, and 1 count of violating Georgia Controlled Substance Act with possession of THC. I'm going to set your total bond at $4,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir? Okay. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for June 2nd at 8:30 in the morning. That date will get waived upon your bonding out, and you'll get a new court date in the mail. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? Okay, sir, you do qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir? Okay, you're free to go back. Yes, sir.
We still trying to get him down, Your Honor. He right next door, but.
Okay, it's all I need to do is just to tell him what he's looking at, and then he can handle himself accordingly.
The judge just wanna. Okay,
Mr. Smith, I know that you don't want to be here, but it's my duty to tell you what you've been charged with, which is 1 count of criminal trespass where you were told to stay away from the airport. I've set a bond at $1,500. I know it listed in the warrant that, according to the officer, you stated that you wanted to go to jail. Do you want me to appoint a lawyer for you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm going to appoint a lawyer for you, Mr. Smith. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for June 1st. That date will get waived if you bond out or you choose to bond out. Do you have any questions of me, Mr. Smith?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's your question, sir?
What day and month is?
Today is the 16th of April.
Okay. So I'll go back to court until June what?
June 1st. However, this charge is one that is so low level that it really, I think they do these calendars every Monday. I'm not certain because it's in state court, but this is something that you're not, if you choose to, you're not going to sit in jail until June 1st.
What you mean? Why you say that?
Well, because this is something that honestly, I would say there are bigger fish to fry. There are bigger things to deal with than this.
My next court date is when?
Currently, it's set for June 1st. However, I have appointed a lawyer for you. And because of the nature of your charges, I'm certain that you're going to be in court before that date.
Hey, sir.
Okay, sir, you're free to go back.
No, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Oh, yes, sir.
When you appoint this lawyer and we ain't on the same page, what's your name is?
Okay, I am Judge Gardner, Brad Gardner.
Can I get your information so I can get back in touch with you if we ain't on the same page?
After this date, I'm not going to be responsible for this case. What I would tell you is this. If you're having problems with the lawyer that you're dealing with, you have a right to request a different lawyer. If it becomes a problem as it relates to, let's say, a certain lawyer that's not doing their job, that is something that the court should be aware of. I am in magistrate court. You can always contact the chief judge of magistrate court, which is Keisha Wright Hill.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. All right. You're free to go back.
They have a meeting. Okay, we'll talk to him. I talk to him.
I mean, you know, I was trying to.
Yes, yes.
I didn't want to sleep.
Okay.
We gotta keep coming. Come on. We're about to do that. Really wasn't good.
Come on. It's on your way.
Okay, that's all we have for today.
Yeah, that's all for today. You want to go over your list? Are you good?
I am good, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. You have a good weekend.
All right, you too, sir.